developing an intentional culture. It's the values, the beliefs, and the ways of doing things of a particular group of people. It's critical that you know this and you start to teach your team this. Having culture conversations is critical. We do an orientation with all of our team members where most of our orientation is around company culture. So the values, the beliefs, and the ways of doing things of a particular group of people. Could be Orange County. Orange County does things differently than New York or than San Diego or than Oklahoma, right? The group of people. Certain corporations have a culture. Your family has a culture. Rise Up Kings has a culture. Every place, every group of people have a general feel, a culture, a set of values, a set of beliefs, a set of way of doing things. And so it's critical to know you can either be intentional or you can do it by default, which we'll talk about.
Does this stem from the company's purpose and mission statement? Doesn't it kind of begin there?
We'll talk about that in a minute. It usually stems from the top. Where do you think culture usually comes from? Yeah, the owner. It comes from you. Yep, it comes from you. We're going to talk about how to properly develop a company culture and what that looks like, because this is it. Like, this is the future. If you don't have a good culture, your team members will leave. They'll go find a company that seems fun or that seems exciting or that they know where they're going. So this is it. Like, you need to have good strategy on bringing in new business and managing that business, but creating a great culture and increasing engagement, we'll talk about that in a second. What that looks like is everything. So what is culture? Does it even matter? So what are some negative cultures? What are some negative cultures that you've been a part of? We use some words to describe those. You can just start throwing them out there. Toxic. Disconnected. Dictatorship. Uncaring. Dishonest. What else? Ego. Yeah, there's a lot of ego in the culture. Pride, right? What else? Thankless. Okay, so a lack of gratitude in the culture. Lack of recognition. Cutthroat. Oh yeah, they'll do anything to win, no matter what. What are some other negative type cultures on this side? John?
Cancer.
How so?
You allow cancer to grow within the organization.
Okay.
Negativity.
Negativity. Okay, cool. So just a general negative attitude. What else? What else are a couple cultures? Have you ever been a part of a church culture that was negative? Gossip. Yep. Gossip is damaging. Lack of accountability. What else? A part of a church culture that you've been a part of? Judgmental. There we go. This is some good stuff. Okay, what else?
They avoid problems.
Avoid conflict. Oh yeah, they bury them. They don't address conflict. All of these create a negative culture. And so I actually do the same exact exercise with all of my new incoming employees. So one of the things I do is I do an orientation every 3 months with all the new team members, and I go through a good culture and a bad culture. What's a culture that you've been a part of that's been negative or that you haven't liked? And I'll go through a list. I'll let them say it. Negative, gossip, lack of conflict, lack of accountability, people showing up late, not caring for each other, lack of respect, bulldozing, ego, dictatorship. So yeah, we'll go down this giant list because I'm getting them to connect in their heads like, oh, I don't want that. Because those new employees, they're responsible for the culture now. Like, they're now a part of this, so they have to be integrated well, and they have to know what a good culture looks like and what a bad one looks like. And then when they start to see this gossip, they now have responsibility. You now know what a good culture looks like. You have the responsibility to kill the gossip when you start to see it. Like, it's on you. And I ask them, I say, hey, who's in charge of the culture for the company? You guys are. You guys are responsible. If you allow gossip to happen, which is one of the major killers of culture, if you allow gossip to happen, it will destroy a culture in a church. And guys, we're not just talking about business, but in a church. Who's ever been a part of a church organization where gossip really did some damage? Raise your hand. Okay. If you've ever, it's prevalent in many churches. Gossip is a big deal. So does it matter? Does culture matter? Yes or no? 100%. How much time should you be spending on your culture if it matters? How much does it actually matter? I would challenge you guys, culture is one of the most important things in your entire business. How many hours a week do you spend on your culture? So good company culture increases profit. There was a Harvard Business Review that came out. Companies with high employee engagement produce 4 times the profit of their competitors. 4 times. This was a really good Harvard Business Review article, and it talked about having a great culture leads to higher employee engagement, which then gives you 4 times the profit of other companies. So the problem, poor culture leads to a lack of engagement, like period. You have a poor culture, you're going to have a lack of engagement in your business. What does lack of engagement look like? What is a 50% engagement, right? The little halfway of doing things. You guys experienced a lack of engagement with the Clap Kings. You experienced that. That was a lack of engagement. That's how some of your employees are showing up. That's literally how your employees are showing up. They're showing up and they're giving 50 or 60% of themselves. What does that do to the business? Maybe 70. What does that do to your business? Like, it causes all kinds of issues. So lack of engagement is gigantic. How do we get people engaged and giving 100%? What we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes is this: how do we get them fully engaged in the business? How do we get them loving the company? How do we get them going above and beyond for their team members, for clients, every single day? So the problem with low engagement. So Gallup did a study. Only 35% of employees are fully engaged. 35%. That means 1 in 3 employees. So you guys have 1 out of 3 that are fully engaged, going above and beyond, staying late at your office to get work done, to make a difference in your company. 1 out of 3 are fully engaged. Highly engaged employees in the workplace see 41% lower absenteeism. People calling off. It was cool during COVID. I feel like we have a pretty good culture right now. Through a couple turnovers, we were having to kind of manage it and pour into it. But during COVID, we had 40 employees. Not one person quit during COVID. So it's pretty cool. Most companies that I know that I'm connected with, they had employees quit or stop showing up to work or go on unemployment or go get the COVID relief. So we didn't have anybody that did that. It was a very powerful, it just showed us, okay, cool, what we're doing makes a difference. Because one employee leaving, it really hurts production. Or if they go call out sick. Or if they go on COVID, some of the COVID relief. Like, that happens, it really does affect your company. Like, your production will go down. So having engaged employees increases people wanting to be at work. 81% of employees would consider leaving their job. This is another study that I looked up. 81% of their employees would consider leaving their job for the right offer. That's almost all of your employees, right? 4 out of 5 would consider, for the right offer, they would consider leaving your company. It's a big deal. How do we stop that, though? The question is, how do we stop that? It costs $4,129 on average to hire and train new employees. So to bring on a new employee, on average, the training, the time that it takes to get somebody up and running is about $4,000. And companies with highly engaged employees outperform others by 102%. Overall outperformance, not just profit. So engagement's where it's at, guys. So here it is. You can have a culture by default, or you can have an intentional culture. Some of you guys have a culture by default. It's literally it just happened by itself. Now it's time to start being very extra intentional with the culture. So the path, get clear on what you want your culture to look like and start taking action on it. So we're going to get clear on that right now. Intentional culture.
Work can be something great, it can be something exciting, it can be something energizing, and it can make the rest of your life better. Some of the exciting things about a startup are romanticized a bit. When you think startup, you think having a sleeping bag under the desk and staying late hours.
If someone's working 70, 80 hours a week here, something's wrong. We want them going home. We want them enjoying their personal lives and developing their personal lives as much as they're developing their professional lives.
Limiting our work to 40 hours doesn't put a limit on our creativity, doesn't put a limit on our passion.
You come to work and you work really hard, but at the end of the day, you can just go home and do what you really enjoy. And I think that balance is, just a part of a healthy lifestyle.
I love taking my little kids swimming and chucking them around in the pool. They love trying to dunk me.
I like to run. I like to, go to the mountains. Anything outdoors, really.
These guys at work keep talking about mountain biking, which I think would be pretty fun.
Put in a great, honest day's work, and then go home to your family and forget about work.
When I leave work, I like to be able to leave work and not have to worry or stress about it all night long.
Saved up, we bought a canoe, and we have had so much fun this summer.
I feel like you don't have to sacrifice your home life to build a great company.
I can't think of one time that I've really brought it home, that it's affected how I enjoy my evening or weekend. It's been let go and forget. It feels good.
When your life is in control and you're happy and you are balanced in what you do at home and at work, it reflects in both areas.
We get the point. So that was cool, right? So that company, what are they trying to show to their new potential hires? This is their recruiting video. What are they showing? Balance is important. Do people want balance more than ever right now? Big time. They want to be balanced. So the question to you guys is, so they're very clear on what their culture is. Our culture is a place where you can be balanced. We care about you. We care about your family. We care about your personal development at home. We're not going to overwork you. That's their culture. So I want you guys to get clear in a moment. You may already have core values, but I want you to get clear on what does your culture look like. So take a moment right now and write down some words to describe your culture, some sentences. What do you want your culture to look like at your business? Maybe in your church or whatever, but specifically in your business. What do you want your culture to be like? What traits do you want your employees to have? Like, what is the culture that you want? It may not be there, but what's the culture that you want every employee to say, hey, this is what we're all about when they tell new employees, when they tell new people that they're talking with about your company. This is what this company is all about. Let's take a minute and write down, like, what is an ideal culture? What would be an exceptional culture in your business that you would put on video? That you would literally put on video, because we need to set a clear target to go after. If you can build the business anyway, how would you want the culture to look and feel? Is it a high accountability culture? Is it more on performance based? Do you guys address conflict? All right, guys, I want to hear a share. Who wants to share what their vision for their culture is going to be? Listen up. Who wants to share what their vision for their culture? Share your vision for your culture. What do you want it to be like? Brad already went. I'll go. William.
All right. I just put it into the word of firehouse, both mission readiness and family orientation. So I like watching shows that have, firehouse interactions on them, fire shows, 911, whatever, and being able to commit to that level of culture intentionality on the family level as well, to communicate that culture to the families of the people that actually work there, give a space for them to hang out, engage with not only the business and some of the hardships that other employees have between families, like wives that have their husband gone for 70 hours a week some weeks when we're busy, and recognize that it's for a season and that they have other people that they're not alone in that.
I love it. Love it. Anybody else want to share a vision for their culture? Good.
So I work in construction, and a lot of the problems that I see is we have employees and we demand a lot from our employees, but those employees turn around and they demand a lot from their subcontractors. And so we're trying to deliver excellence not only up but down. And so it's a vertical. We create this culture where we beat the crap out of our subcontractors, but we have all these expectations of our own personal freedom, so we can go to the lake or go do whatever. So we're just trying to change that culture that with the happy people that are making really good money produce a really good product. And that's starting from us going to the customer down through the subcontractors.
I love it. I love it. All right, one more vision for your culture. All right. Oh, there we go.
Okay, I'm in the plumbing business, and technician, why they working hard? Because they want to take care of his family. And what I see and catch for me, it's all they have kids, and we, like company, we have to know what sport they play and what wife they like. If we do something for them kids and for the wife, they will feel like, okay, this company, they care my family. It's like important, like family orientated.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, it's cool. One of the things we do at Superior is all of our managers, we take them out to, you guys can have a seat now. We take them out to a dinner. So one of our final interviews is we take them and their spouse out to dinner and connect with their spouses. And so this is amazingly created. We connect with the spouse and we say, hey, we just wanted to have dinner with you and let you know, like, you actually care, you matter to us also. So we want to make sure that you're involved in this process. We know that he's going to be working hard and putting in the hours. So I just want to make sure that you know what he's doing, who he's working for, and that we actually care about you also. So it makes a giant difference to let people know, like, we do really care. You may care, but if the spouse is, I mean, you got to think about it. The spouses, many times, if they're not happy at work and the spouse is like, oh, that he overworks or she overworks, like, it's going to be this battle that's happening. So it's good to get everybody on the same page. So we love doing that. We'll do lunches or do dinners. And then back on your note, Jared, is your culture flows not only through your employees, but it touches your subcontractors and eventually, like, your community. So it's a big deal. So something we did recently, or I like doing every year, is we'll go set up, like, lunches for our subcontractors and go do like an appreciation lunch. But then last year I actually wrote cards, handwritten cards to, I don't know, I think we have like 15 of our, like, key subcontractors. I wrote them all handwritten cards with a $100 Home Depot gift card. Sent them out to them and got tons of good feedback. Like, oh, wow, that's cool that the owner, because I'm not engaged with them that much. And so I got a list of all of them and said, hey, I appreciate everything you do. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. Thank you. And so if you recognize your employees, recognize all your vendors too. Your suppliers, your subcontractors, the people, like, recognize everyone. Like, go out of your way to get them on your team also and to show that you care. So carrying on, let's talk about core values. There we go. Okay, so this was probably one of the cooler videos I've seen that's just very direct and very to the point. Chick-fil-A has incredible core values, and they live out their culture. And so I found this video. I'm like, this is pretty awesome. So take a moment to take in, like, what she's actually saying.
Chick-fil-A.
And if you turn the lights down when we play videos, that'd be great.
Third largest restaurant chain in America. It's closed on Sundays, I got that. Joining us now, someone who helped make it a big success, the author of Bet on Talent, How to Create a Remarkable Culture and Win the Hearts of Customers. Former Chick-fil-A executive, Deanne Turner. Welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Really?
Stuart. Absolutely.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Look, you spent, 30 years at Chick-fil-A?
33, yes.
Okay, if you can encapsulate, what made Chick-fil-A the success that it is?
What I really believe is that Chick-fil-A Truett Cathy, the founder, started by creating a remarkable culture, the very foundation of what Chick-fil-A was. A company with a purpose that knew where they were going. They had a challenging mission to accomplish, and they stuck to their core values.
The core values being Christianity?
No, not at all. While that was certainly representative of Truett Cathy's faith, what the core values of Chick-fil-A are is we're here to serve, we're better together, we're purpose-driven, and we pursue what's next.
And the success is that you got your employees to get on board with the key message of Chick-fil-A. I mean, very, very nice to customers.
Well, I think that the reason that is the selection of the people who actually lead the restaurants, and they've brought their team members in, they've taught them the principles of going above and beyond and exceeding customer expectations, and that's how they've won the hearts of their customers.
And you transfer that to other businesses, and that's how other businesses should succeed.
Yes, and I think that's improving the whole marketplace. I talk about that in Bet on Talent, about a number of other organizations that do just that.
What does Bet on Talent? What's that?
Of all
In the TV news business, talent is people who appear on camera, but that's not true of the fast food business.
Well, it is true because they're talented, and let me explain the difference. We bet on talent at Chick-fil-A, and the reason why is of all the strategies you could choose to invest in, what Chick-fil-A decided is the differentiator to win the hearts of customers would be their talent. So there's a difference between selecting talent and hiring people. Hiring people is just filling your shift. It's just a warm body. But talent, they're very carefully selected for abilities that meet the exact role that you have.
Is that what Chick-fil-A did?
I believe so. Select talent.
But not just
hire people, exactly.
It must be difficult, though. I mean, in a fully employed economy, and it is, you want to bring people in and you're going to select them. And that's a difficult row to hoe, isn't it?
It is very hard, and that's why it's so important. You know, in my 33-year career, I've seen this cycle, this full employment cycle 3 times. This is the worst ever. But what you have to do is you have to prepare your culture ahead of time. You have to have that foundation of culture. And so some of these Chick-fil-A operators actually have people waiting to work for them because they've built those relationships over time, and people know what a great culture they have, and they want to be a part of it.
I want to be a part of Chick-fil-A because I want to own stock in it, but I can't because it's private.
It's private.
You'll never go public?
I can't answer for Chick-fil-A because I'm not there anymore,
That's
but
true.
that's what they've said.
But when you were there...
But when I was there, that was the commitment that they made.
You never want to cash out? I mean,
I
take your money and
I
drop.
can't answer for them, but I know that, I'll tell you what Truett Cathy used to say. He said, because I own the business, it allows me to do the things I want to do. And one of them was to build this remarkable culture. He did things for his employees that stockholders would never let you do, and that's one of the reasons he wanted to stay private.
You know that when Chick-fil-A opened its first outlet in New York City, the mayor of New York called for a boycott. And the next morning, there were lines around the block because it's just up the street from where we are.
And I believe that's because Chick-fil-A operators are focused on winning the hearts of customers. And so that's what they're doing, even here in New York.
It was a pleasure having you on the show. We love success. And there's no question that Chick-fil-A is a major league success.
So good. All right. So interesting, right? Chick-fil-A, I mean, a extremely profitable, very successful company that is closed on Sundays when all restaurants are open on Sundays. So what do they do different? What's the number one thing they do different? Bet on talent, but they're focused on their culture. That's the number one thing they focus on is their culture. The number one. Culture and their people. Those are tied together. So, what are a couple takeaways from that video? Like, what is something that you realize, like, oh shoot, like that maybe that is that important? Yep.
Prepare your culture for hard times.
Okay. Great.
If you don't have that culture set and established when it comes to moments like these, you're gonna have a really hard time making these bodies.
Yep. Prepare your culture. What else, Chris?
I've been caught in the trap before.
Here, I'm gonna hand this to you guys. Here. Go ahead and stand up.
Been caught in the trap before, just trying to fill the seat. You know, you need a warm body, you're overwhelmed, and it never works out. So hire for talent, bet on talent, not hire for people.
Yeah, beautiful. One more. What was one more takeaway from watching that? That was a pretty powerful video. Yep.
My main goals is to exceed customer expectations. That's how you win the hearts of your customers.
Beautiful. No. Fail. All right. So the culture, right? Developing your culture is really critical. So the question is, how do you do it? How do you develop a world-class culture where people are literally attracted to your business? Because it's extremely important now, but in 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, it's going to be one of the most important things. Like, they're going to rate you based on your culture. Employees will judge you based on your culture. Not even how good your product is. How good your culture is. Is your product. That is it. Your culture. So what leads to developing a culture is your core values. Your core values create your culture, not your vision. That was a good one, not your mission. Your core values develop and it actually leads to your culture. So having clarity around your core values is key. The challenge is, we had a guy that, the VP of a very large restoration company, one of the largest actually, was interested in purchasing Superior. I went and met with the VP at dinner. I was just curious, and to see what he thought, valuation, just where they were at. And I had dinner with him, and we were talking about culture. He's like, "Yeah, we have a great culture." I'm like, "Oh, very cool." He's like, "Yeah, we have our core value." I was talking about our core values. And he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "We have our core values like all over the place. We have them. We just got badges made for everybody. It's on the back of the badges." I'm like, "Oh cool." I'm like, "What are your core values?" He's like, he didn't know any of his core values. And he's the VP leading this company, which showed me that truly their core values and their culture isn't what he thought it was. You have to know your core values. You have to know your personal values. Your business values also. So what are your core values lead to your culture? I want to take a moment. I took the time out to write. I wrote this up initially with our first Rise Up Kings event, and I finally got a chance to actually start sharing this with you guys. This is what we stand by, and this is what, from a brotherhood perspective, our Kings values. So our values as Kings on these two banners right there: truth, courage, responsibility, growth, and heart. So truth, like this is what we stand by, and I want us to memorize these. As a king, we live in the truth. We tell the truth. We don't hide the truth. We are present with the truth. We tell the truth. Number 2 is courage. We do the hard thing. We're not afraid of pain. We're not afraid of embarrassment. We do courageous things in the face of fear. So we do the hard thing. Responsibility. Who's responsible for everything in your life? Yeah, I'm ultimately responsible. God's overseeing, but really we have some responsibility in it. Whose responsibility is it to take care of the family? The man's. It is your job. It's your business. You have that responsibility. God takes that burden from us, but we are ultimately responsible. No victimhood allowed. We are responsible for the things that happen in our lives. And then growth, constant expansion. As a part of this brotherhood, this movement, growth is a critical piece. We're always growing. We're choosing to grow in our faith weekly, our family, our fitness, and our finances, like regularly. And then heart. This is a critical one. You can show up and be a top performer, but if you're not operating with your heart, you don't truly care, it's meaningless. Love is where it's at. Your heart, showing up with your heart, being present with your wife. Like allowing your heart to be there is a critical piece. So truth, courage, responsibility, growth, and heart. I want us to repeat these in unison. Let's do it. So ready? All right. Truth, courage, responsibility, growth, heart. Truth, courage, responsibility, growth, heart. Truth, courage, responsibility, growth, heart. All right. That's good. That's good. All right. Who knows them? Who knows them now? Let me see a hand without looking at them. Yep. Go ahead, Mark. Yep.
Truth, growth, responsibility, heart. Didn't have it.
Okay. Who knows it? Yep.
Truth, courage, responsibility, and heart.
Nope. All right. Who knows it? Oh, we're back. We're back here we're here again. Okay.
Truth, courage,
Yep.
responsibility, growth, heart.
Okay. Who else knows it? Yep.
Truth, growth, responsibility, courage, heart.
Okay. A little backwards, but you got it. Yep. One more. Who knows it? Yep.
Truth, courage, responsibility, growth, heart.
Okay. So, are your core who has company values here? Company core values here? Raise your hand. Okay. Keith, what are your core values?
Respect, good citizenship, family, quality, and growth.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, just making sure. So it's critical. So you can learn core values. You just have to be intentional with it. This is a part of your culture. This is the key to your culture is the core values. So we're going to get clear on core values right now. So what are your company's core values? So intentionally designing your core values. Your core values. So we're going to design some core values. If you don't have your core values picked out already, then this is a critical exercise. If you already have them, this may be a time to refine them or ingrain them even more and make sure they're in alignment. So core values, we want to intentionally design them. So your core values are the DNA of your company. It's what makes you special. It's not something you want to be. So just to be clear, core values is not something you want to be. It's not what you want. It's already who you are. And many times your core values stem from you. So who is your company? Right? What are the positive attributes about your company? When doing a core value exercise with any company I go into, it's not who do we want to become? It's no, who are you guys? Let me hear from your employees. What are the positive things about your company? Everybody go. Share your positive attributes. Okay, we care. We work harder. We have a great work ethic as a team. Like hear the core values. Get clear on those from your team members usually. And as an owner also. So core values typically come from the owner. So it's whatever values are important to you. So if you have a really good work ethic, your team members will probably have a good work ethic in general. If you genuinely care about people, in general, your team members will care. So the values usually stem from you. I'm big into personal growth. Our team members, that's one of our key core values, is thirst for learning. Keep your core values simple. So one word, but one word if it could be up to interpretation, make sure you have a short description. So when you have core values, if you use one word, you can use short descriptions. One of ours is thirst for learning. So that's very clear. Hey, we have a thirst for learning. We want to continue to grow. But if you have a one-word core value, and we do this with families too. So actually, like, does your family have core values? What do your kids believe in? Like, what are you ingraining in your kids? So keep your core values simple, one word, short. Ideally, use an acronym for simplicity so you can remember them. I'll show you mine in a second. Focus on 3 to 5. So I wouldn't do more than 3 to 5 core values. No more than 5. That's just too much. Because you want your team members to know them by heart. You want them to trust the core values, know them intimately. And explain the word if there's different meanings, which I talked about. And be authentic. So you're not picking things. You want to be authentic. Hey, what's unique about our company? So here's an example of our core values. So our core values, we use the acronym COMET because we did a lot of stuff with like 5-star. We're a 5-star company, so we use the word COMET. It's collaborate, own it, mindfulness, efficiency, and learning. Our thirst for learning. COMET, super easy to remember. All of our employees in our entire company, whether you've been there 2 weeks or 5 years, know our core values. Everybody, all 40 of the team members. Who was that? I took some of my coaching clients out to do a little site visit yesterday. We played some paintball, had some fun. Who wants to share what they kind of experienced? We interviewed a few of my team members. I was curious too what they would say. Didn't give them any pre-training. I just said, hey, are you down to talk to some of my Rise Up Kings guys because they know what we have going on? And they're like, yeah, sure. So who wants to share what you kind of saw or what you heard? What was a resonating theme when we basically just asked them, hey, what makes Superior unique?
Everything that he's teaching today is on point with what they brought. So he brought 4 individuals, I believe, and every one of them had the same thing. It all stemmed from core values. A lot of them even said, yeah, pay's good, but they're there for the core values and the culture that is within the company. And you could just tell everywhere that they're just really happy. So yeah, so this is true and this is raw. So
cool. Anybody else have that was there yesterday? Any little insights they got from meeting a couple of the team members? Because it was pretty interesting. It was kind of it was neat seeing that perspective. And I only share that because what we've done at Superior Restoration is I go there 1 day a week. So I go there on Tuesdays, and my entire company's ran by my team. I literally go meet with the team and I micromanage the culture. I just meet with the team, make sure culture's in check. So I tell you this because that's the opportunity that you have is eventually if you can get a couple of these pieces in place, you can build a business that operates on its own. You have to have the culture in place though. If your culture's a mess, when you go leave, you're going to be afraid of what's going to happen when you leave. You're going to be afraid of people stealing stuff or gossip or these other issues. You have to have the culture in place before you can move on to the next stage. Mark.
So I had the opportunity to go as well, and so one of the things, of the 4 or 5 individuals that he brought in, one of the words that they used was autonomy, or that they felt like they were being micromanaged. And so the idea of own it within their culture, it was interesting to see from all the different roles that these individuals were playing in, that they owned their role, but they didn't feel like at the same time that they were being like micromanaged. And so they took responsibility for what they were doing, but that word autonomous or autonomy seemed to just kind of carry out although it's not the exact word in your culture statement, it still was being played out over and over. This is one of the things that stuck out.
Love it. Yeah, we hire people that have an own it mentality. So every single person at our company, we interview them to make sure they have like an own it mentality, meaning they own their role. We ask questions to make sure like, hey, your previous experiences that didn't go well with your company, why? If it's, oh, my boss was a pain. Oh, the company didn't do this right. That's like, oh, shoot, okay, this person obviously is not owning. If they say, but, I had a part to play in it. Oh, wow, okay. That guy's taking some ownership. Cool. You fit our culture. All right, welcome in. So, Keith.
Yeah, I think the reason that
that autonomy was possible, just to add to what he said, is because you hire according to the core values. So if you have a person that you sincerely believe is meeting the core values, you can give them some freedom within the structure. And I think one of them talked about letting an employee go who didn't collaborate well. And so they actually hire and fire based on the core values, which is kind of a new thought to me. If you're focused on the job that the company is doing, that seems to always be the top. Like, can you do the job well? But actually core values almost in your company seem to exceed the actual work that you're doing. It's on a higher level of priority.
It's critical. All right. So core values. So let's go to a couple examples. This was an example of core values. Next one was Atlassian. I don't actually know how to say their name. They're huge, giant company. So these are some example core values. We're going to create some in a minute. Our company, no bullshit. So open company. So they're just transparent and open, no BS. Build with heart and balance. Don't F the customer over. Play as a team and be the change you seek. That's a cool core value. I like that one a lot. Be the change you seek. All right, play as a team. That's the same as ours, collaborate. Build with heart and balance. Love it. Some cool core values. So next one, this one was Zappos. Who knows who Zappos is? Okay. So build open and honest relationships. Do more with less. What does that stand for? What's the actual word that means that? What's do more with less? Efficiency. Yeah, one of our core values. That's a different way of saying it. Efficiency, do more with less. Build a positive team. Create fun and a little weirdness. So that is a part of Zappos. That's their culture. They're a little weird. They do some funky stuff. Deliver wow through service. Has anybody ever had an issue with Zappos that they were able to overcome, or has anybody experienced some of their service? They're like next level service on multiple levels. If you ever have it, I think you can return anything, no questions asked, always. They were the company that started that. Actually being able to go return anything for any reason that you wanted to. They would mail out multiple pairs of shoes and you could just send them all back. So they brought this deliver wow through service. Cox Automotive, do the right thing. So that's could be an integrity thing. Do the right thing always. So again, these core values are the things that your employees operate, right? The ways of doing. These are the things that your employees operate off of when you're not there. What are the core ways that employees operate? So when they're about to make a decision and you're not present, hopefully they go to do the right thing. That's literally what they're thinking. They have an option. Hey, the boss isn't here. I could either do this job the right way, or I could cut a little corner and get home early. What am I going to do? The core values. Okay, it literally will pop in their head. Do the right thing. Okay. I'm gonna handle it the right way. Lead by example. Bring out the best in everyone. Make a little music. That's an interesting one. Do it all in the spirit of Cox, whatever that means. Do it all in the spirit of Cox. What does that even mean? I have no clue. All right. Write out your core values. So let's take a moment, and before you write out your core values, actually pause. Anytime you're setting goals, here's something that's pretty important. So anytime you're setting goals or you're doing anything where you're using your mind, it's important to be in the appropriate state. You will set bigger goals in a fired up state than you would in a down, depressed, or just not emotionally energetic state. So anyway, when we set some core values right now, what makes your company unique? You're going to write these things down. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do at your company? And then what words would describe your company? You already did a little bit of this, but actually come up with 3 or 5 things. But before we do this, I want us to stand up. You guys know what we're doing. We're going to do 15 jumping jacks, and then you're going to give 6 epic high fives. Ready, go. You can turn the music all the way up. I mean, there we go. I like that. That's good. I love this song. Woo! All right, high fives. Come on, Kings. 6 epic high fives.
Let's go.
Make them epic. Let's
go.
100%.
Wake it up, baby.
100%.
Come on.
100%.
You didn't fly all the way over here to be chill. Come on. Some of y'all flew a long way to fall over
All right,
the
have
table.
a seat. You can keep the music going, it's kind of low. All right, guys, go ahead and write down. Start to really process, like, hey, what are the 3 to 5 core values that we want to stand by? Start. You're going to have about 5 minutes to start processing through this, or maybe even go back through your current core values and make sure they're still relevant or important to you. So you got 5 minutes. What is
Make 'em
unique about your
good.
company? What is your DNA? What's authentic that you want to continue to communicate to all employees for the rest of your time in business? Literally, for the rest of your time in business, you're going to be giving them these 3 or 5 things. Okay, let's wrap it up. Who wants to share one of their core values that they like the most? Go ahead and stand up. Stand up if, yep.
One is ambassador, because our folks are out in the community with other folks. So we want to treat others with respect, dignity, and kindness.
Okay, that's the definition of ambassador. Is that what you're saying? Okay, love it. Ambassador, that's a great word. I haven't heard that one before. So your employees are going to be ambassadors, and this is something you teach them when they first come to your company, right? And you're sharing this. This is a part of our core values. This is what makes us unique, is we show up this way.
Right, because we're out. We have a small office, but we're out in multiple areas. 50 people outside of us.
Yep, love it. All right, who's next? Who hasn't gone? All right, DeMarco. Boom.
My core values are show up, it's our problem, do more with less. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Be genuine, care a little more, and communicate.
Love it. Dude, those are good. I love the little statements. The one words are great. The little statements I like them a little bit more if you can find ones that work well than just a singular word. All right, who else wants to share one of their core values that resonates with them?
Excellence can always be expected from our employees and our services.
So excellence?
Yeah.
Okay. So an expectation of excellence. I would look at that a little bit deeper. A more positive than just expected. Excellence is expected. Maybe it's we live in excellence, or we operate in excellence daily, or some kind of cool thing tied to excellence, some positive, like powerful meaning around, because excellence is a great word. All right, let's get a couple more shares. I'm gonna have 2 or 3 more people share. Brad.
Sets us apart. Why did they choose us? Why are we working here? Just what sets us apart.
Sets us apart. Okay, so I would dig deeper than that and actually get clear on what sets us apart. So maybe are you basically referring to like being unique, kind of?
Yeah.
Or
being weird or
being
whatever
weird, something like that. So
like
okay, so
Zappos.
set apart.
Okay.
Maybe even singular, like set apart could be something powerful. That hey, we're set apart. We do things, but with a little definition. I would probably have a little definition of what set apart means.
Okay.
Set apart. We live by a different standard, or something like that would be powerful. All right, shoot it to the next person. Who's next?
Epic at service.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Epic at service. Cool.
Mine's my last name, Box. So bring your A game, own your actions, and examples to others.
Oh, there we go. All right, last one. We got last 2.
So ours is to be the best. So we do that by becoming better, exceeding expectations, superior service, and teamwork.
Love it.
I'm not done all of mine, but one was simplistic production. Another was confidence through competency, respect first, humble leadership. Those are the ones I have right now.
Love them.
And then lead them like Sarge.
Yeah, there we go. Where's Sarge at? All right. Boom. Right next to him. You give him that one? Kissing butt, huh? I get it, man. Okay. So let's move on to the next thing. You guys will have some opportunities to do some deeper work around those, but just know this is what leads to your culture. Now, once you have your core values, what do you do with them? This is where people fail, like the VP did. This is where people fail. They'll have core values, but they'll be up on the wall. They'll be on a little card, but nobody knows them. They're not lived out. So how do you integrate core values? This is a critical piece. I talk with guys that run 15, 20, $25 million companies, and they don't know how to fully integrate them. Like we have them on the wall. Like how do we get it to where they're in the hearts and the minds of the team members? So first off, guess what? You must know your core values. You have to have your core values memorized. So if you have a company and you're not clear on your core values, this is a critical piece. 2 is best practices on integration. So learn your core values first. Have your management team or your key managers or your supervisors learn the core values. And it just takes you sitting with them and telling them, hey, I need these memorized. You have a week. You have a week to memorize these core values, or you do it with them in a meeting. Hey, we're all going to learn them right now. Who wants to say the Rise Up Kings core values without looking at them again? Raise your hand. Okay, Jason.
Truth, courage, responsibility, growth, and heart.
Boom. So you just learned our core values, right? This is what we live by as a community. So we can easily get our team to memorize the core values, is my point. My point in that is everybody in your team can have them take 15 minutes of writing them out over and over or saying them over and over. Like very easy to learn 5 words or 5 statements. Recognize your employees based on how they showed the core values. So this is something that's critical. So when I'm recognizing team members or my general manager's recognizing team members, who was at my office, who wants to share what we do that actually learned? What do we do when it comes to recognition? One of the guys, what do we do? Mark.
Well, the ways, like a quarterly meeting or something like that, you're rewarding or recognizing employees based off of how they lived out the culture.
Perfect. How they lived out the actual values. So I don't recognize it. When I recognize somebody, it's always, we got to recognize them on a core value. Hey, man, you really showed up on this job site. Way to own it. Hey, John, way to collaborate with Mary. Like, that was awesome the way you guys are working together right now. Hey, wow, we came in really profitable. Great job, entire company. We were very efficient this month. You guys smashed it on efficiency. Good job. So we're tying recognition back to core values. Does that make sense? That's how you ingrain it. You ingrain their behavior. Their behavior needs to be attached to the core value. So they start to understand, oh, so I do this. That's what that means. Not just some word in the sky. It's like, oh, so efficiency means me improving profit in my department or my company, my side of my division or my job. Okay, efficiency means me doing jobs faster. So you want to recognize whatever you want more of. So tie it to the core values. That's how you start to really ingrain them deep. They're so deep at our company. So ingrain them deep just by recognition. That's a great way to do it. And then another way that we do it is share stories of people living out the core values. So in any meetings that we have, we'll ask people to share a story of another employee that they saw live out the core values. And it's awkward silence for like 30 seconds. Okay, who wants to share an example of an employee that lived out the core values of someone on their team? Actually, I'll start with you guys. Who wants to share an example today of somebody that showed up on one of these core values? Yep.
One of our core values is stick together. And this last week, I had an employee that was working late. He had a terrible blowout, and his coworker found out and drove over there out of his way, even though he was already home, to help him out. So I got pictures of them changing a tire out on the freeway, and I was like, that's what we're about, sticking together. So at our next meeting, I'm going to recognize that.
Great. I love that. That's huge. And guess what will happen next time someone gets an opportunity to do that? They're going to go out of their way to go stick together and help somebody else out. Love it. So sharing those stories, that is where it's at. So weekly meetings, your monthly meetings, start to share more of these stories. Based on Rise Up Kings core values, who saw one of these core values in somebody today? Yep, Vlad.
When we were doing high fives, one guy almost knocked my tooth out.
They were getting a little aggressive. I like it. What core value was that, though? Heart. Okay, good. All right, let's do 2 or 3 more of the King's values. Who saw somebody else? Yep, Jason.
One of the brothers in our group, he does not do well with public speaking or talking in front of others, so he had courage to talk very well in front of us.
Love it. The courage. Super cool, man. This is how it's done. One more. This is fun. Yep, Ned. Yeah, love it. So good, so good. Thank you for those of you that played all out in that first experience by being real and authentic and telling the truth. That's where it's at. Like if we could get our kids to tell the truth, not just about lying, but like what are they actually feeling? You know, what's the truth that's inside them? And have our wives tell the truth. For us, we're going to get an opportunity later to tell the truth of what we want in our marriage. A lot of times we'll cover up the truth. Like, oh, I don't really want that. No, what do you want? Tell the truth. What do you actually want in your marriage? What do you actually want in your sexual relationship with your wife, in your intimacy, in your connection? Like, what do you really want? Like, forget the filters. What do you want? Be real with it. Give gift cards. So the way to do is give gift cards or other kind of rewards for people memorizing and living out the core values. So in every single monthly meeting that we have with our company, I always have 3 to 5 gift cards, and we'll pass them out. Hey, who knows the core values? Oh, I do. Okay, cool. Awesome. Here's a gift card. Hey, who wants to tell a story of somebody else and the core value? Okay, here's a gift card. All right, who knows? Like that's what we do. So you can do anything else that you want. We do gift cards. It's kind of fun. We give out $25 gift cards for that. And then you must personally live out your core values. So that's the deal. That's the challenge. Once you set these core values, you must tell the truth. You must be courageous. You must show up in responsibility. You must be growing, right? The moment I stop growing, I'm no longer living in my core values anymore. And then heart, me practicing and living out my heart, like being present, being vulnerable. So you have to live out your own core values, whatever they are. So whatever you wrote down, like you have to do that same thing. That's the deal. It starts with the leader. It really does. Otherwise, you'll be hypocritical, and it'll actually create more cancer. So choose to really show up and to live out those core values. Hire and fire based off of core values. So this is the critical piece. So use your core values as a way to bring in the right talent and to let go of the wrong people. Like Keith talked about, we do. Our team members know if they don't fit the core values and they're not living them out, we'll coach them, we'll work with people, but then you're moving on if you're not a part of our... Why do we need to move on with somebody that doesn't fit our core values? Yeah, exactly. Totally. Why else? They'll drag us down. Yep, exactly. We let go of, we decided to let go. The guy quit when he found out before we had our number one project manager. He did about $2.5 million a year. He started to get cancerous and he gossiped. And so we let it go on a little bit too long, ended up causing some issues. And so we moved on. We decided to move on from him. We found out he quit. But that's the deal. Guys, I mean, you move on from team members that even if they're big producers, they will cause more. If culture is one of the most important thing in your business, then you have to move on from people that aren't supporting the culture, that aren't living out the culture, that don't match the culture. So now our culture is really strong. And well, it's been strong, but those people stand out. So he stood out for a while. So now somebody comes in that gets hired. We hired a new technician. Within a month, multiple people came to us and said, hey, this guy doesn't really fit our culture. Multiple people said, hey, this guy, he really stood out. Like, oh, wow, he wasn't collaborative. He wasn't efficient. He just stood out like a sore thumb. So that's the goal, is where your culture is so strong where you can actually tell like who stands out and who's integrated really well into it. So hiring and firing. So all of our interview processes, we just tie into our core values. So that's a key piece. When you interview, actually interview with it, have your core values written down somewhere, and actually like mentally make check boxes or on a piece of paper, make check boxes on whether or not they're hitting the core values that are important.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Not just the toxic environment, but I just realized that I give so much energy to people who have bad culture. It sucks up all my energy trying to motivate people or to keep them alive.
Who else experiences that? Where you're trying to motivate people that really aren't the right fit and kind of culturally not a fit. They are the people that take the most from you too. They're the people you don't really want to see in the office sometimes. It's like we need to move on from those people and make a decision to have people that we really want to be around and that aren't the energy suckers in our business. Think about in your business, who's the energy sucker? Who's the guy or the woman that actually sucks some energy, like depletes energy, doesn't energize the whole team. Be aware of that. Who is that person? And then tying them in. How do you tie them into your hiring process? So we share the job scorecard with all of you. I've shared it multiple times, but if you guys want to copy this, I can send it. It's basically we no longer use job descriptions. We use, hey, here's the 5 key responsibilities that this specific role has for a business development, right? 1.5 million in revenue is an objective. Like very clear, setting clear expectations with your team members is critical. We do that through a 1-page job scorecard, but I have the arrow because we also have our core values on the scorecard. So this is what we use to hire people. When we hire them, I'm really going through the scorecard and seeing, does this person actually match this profile? Could they generate $1.5 million? Could they do this? Are they detailed enough to do this? Okay, yeah, I'm going to rate them. So I rate them. And then we actually write down if they match our core values or not. And so we do that, and that's what our whole team does. And so we actually use the same scorecard for reviews. So annually, we'll go do this and we'll pull out. We'll say, hey, and we'll let them judge themselves. Here's your scorecard. You write down what you think you did. We'll write down what we did or what we think you were at. And so he'll write down, hey, how did I do on collaborate? 5. How did I do on efficiency? Well, I didn't hit my numbers, 3. So we'll let them judge themselves, and then we'll go through and we'll actually write down what they came in at, and if they're matching the core values, and if they actually hit their objectives. So the question to you guys, and on a side note, does your team members, do your roles know what they're responsible for? Exactly. Do they have a specific 1 or 2 or 3 things that they have to hit every year? Is it a certain amount of revenue? Is it updating the CRM properly? Is it answering the calls correctly and having good satisfaction scores, customer satisfaction? Like, what is it that your team members are responsible for? Some of you guys have team members, they're just going. They don't even know what they're fully they're just taking action. It's critical that we set some clarity for them. Like, hey, actually, this is what, because again, their engagement will increase if they know what they're being judged on. So a lot of people don't even know fully what they're getting rated on. So get clear on that with the job scorecard. So how to increase employee engagement? We're going to wrap up in a couple minutes. First thing is focus on improving your culture is one of the top things. Second thing is share your vision with where the company's going. Share your vision. So you guys have employees on your team. This is for improving engagement. You don't have to improve engagement, but if you want improved engagement, share with your team where you're going. What's your vision for the company? They're already on the bus. Your employees are on the bus is moving. But where are they going? Many of your employees have no clue where they're going. Yeah, I'm just going to work each day. Is that exciting? Is that like inspiring? Does that increase their engagement? Or do you have a little bit bigger of a vision? Are you planning on being the #1 company in the entire area? Are you planning on being the most reputable? Are you planning on having the strongest culture? Or are you planning on eventually opening branches and growing? Like, what is it that's inspiring that you can share with your team on where they're actually going? Because they're on the bus. Now we just have to tell, the bus driver has to say, hey, by the way, we're going this way, guys. Who's on board? Who's not on board first? Right? And then who wants to come run with us and go do this? It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be worth it. Come on board. Spend time on personal development and professional development. Actually take time to help level up your employees. When was the last time they went to a class, a personal development class, or a Zoom class, or read a book, or listened to an audio book, or doing a training? Are you developing your employees, or are they kind of stagnant? Like, are you actually developing your key employees? If you want to increase engagement, and then recognize employees regularly, actually take time to recognize. You can overdo it for sure, but find that sweet spot of recognition. So many surveys have been done that employees want recognition. They get inspired by recognition many times more than monetary rewards. Set clear role expectations, which is what I wrote down on the scorecard. Set clear, that's how you increase engagement. You're very clear on what's expected. Follow through with your word. One of the biggest, did a whole video on this, and I interviewed people. Hey, what's the biggest turnoff from your previous company for new people we were hiring? It's the owner said he was going to do this but never did. Told me he was going to give me a raise but never did. Told me I was going to have this position when I got hired but never did. Told me he had this that never did. So follow through with it. Be really aware of what you say to your team on new hires. Be really aware because they hold on to it. In the interview process, they're going to remember these things that you're dropping. And then 3 months later, 6 months later, or a year later, they're going to be like, yeah, they won't tell you, but then they'll quit. Yeah, he didn't follow through with his word. He told me this, but he's like, I kind of just threw it out there. But yeah, they held on to it. So don't just throw stuff out there. Be really intentional with what's said. And then get rid of poisonous people. How do you increase engagement? Get rid of the people that are poisoning the well so you can have people that are fired up on the team. And then have clear and regular communication with the team. So clear and regular communication. Maybe it's a weekly meeting. Maybe it's a daily huddle. Who does daily huddles here? Love it. Okay, we got a couple people. Daily huddles are tremendous. The people that were at my office yesterday, they got to see what the daily huddle was, and actually the team likes having that daily conversation, which was really interesting. Culture, again, to recap, you can have it by default or you can have an intentional culture. So let's be incredibly intentional with our cultures and our core values and like what we're developing. So next action steps as we close out, finalize your core values. So these are your guys' next if you don't have your core values finalized, like take time to finalize them. I would even engage your team. I would ask them, hey, what do you think makes us unique? We want to start developing these core values. We want to engage you in this process. So take the time to actually engage the team in the core values. And then integrate the core values. Start integrating them. Start having conversations. Start recognizing people based off the core values. And then number 3 is revamp your hiring process around the core values. So actually revamp it. So how do you hire now? Your hiring and firing process. What is the way that you do this? Is it through the scorecards? How can you integrate core values into your hiring to make sure they fit culturally? That's a critical piece. They need to fit culturally. So finalize core values, integrate the core values, and then revamp your hiring process around the core values. Boom. Any questions real quick? We're going to jump into the next thing, but any questions around this topic? That was kind of an important topic, but we went through kind of quick. Okay.